So now the offseason is 100% underway, as Dennis Smith is putting up some pretty good numbers in the Summer League. Right now he's got 15 points, 5 assists, 16 points, my mistake, just around where we want him to be in the Summer League as Kuzminskis tries to get his revenge in our last Summer League game, and he misses it. So now it has come to the point where we need to address our Carmelo Anthony problem once and for all. We've gone through some teams, some trade possibilities, and a decision has finally been made. It is probably not the most popular decision, but in the long run it'll help us. Basically, this happened. Carmelo Anthony said he wanted to go to a contender. Even though this is not his ideal landing spot, it still puts him in position to win a ring. This is the trade that we came up with to send Carmelo Anthony to the Toronto Raptors. We will be receiving Norman Powell and 2 first-round picks in return for Carmelo Anthony, and I threw in a second-round pick to make it more leveled. The downside to trading for someone like Norman Powell is that he's a shooting guard, so we kind of have a little bit of a hole at small forward, but that can be addressed later. The point is, he's one of the best perimeter defenders in the league, and he's got some nice offensive touches to his game. So he's going to fit in nicely to our squad. And now the season begins, our first game against the Cleveland Cavaliers. And right off the bat, we get a turnover. Dennis Smith dribbles up the floor in his first NBA game, pick and roll to Porzingis, and he dunks. Fitting first play for our season. Now I'm thinking on some plays, I'm going to want Norman Powell running the offense because he's a better playmaker than anyone would really think, even though we turn it over there. He's kind of like a little mini LeBron. He's athletic. He can do anything across the floor. But here you can see Porzingis is just lighting it up right off the bat. But I do believe if Norman Powell is implemented in the right way, he can exceed expectations more than anyone would have imagined. I didn't expect him to come in and play such a vital role in our success, our potential success, correction there. But I really think he can be something on this team. I didn't just trade Carmelo for nuts and bolts. Now on this play here, we need to acknowledge the fact that Dennis Smith's athleticism could really help him score. Now, his role as a scorer might be less important as his role as a playmaker, but Norman Powell's playmaking ability could assist Dennis Smith in his scoring ability. They could complement each other well. But here you see it's still a close game as we're only down 1, even though LeBron steps back here and nails a three-pointer. Now our playbook is a tricky subject because 2K's plays, they're very particular, they're very skill set based, and we have very versatile players with particular skill sets. Everyone plays a role. And I think our best option would be to run the 2003 Dallas Mavericks playbook because, that offense was centered around Dirk Nowitzki. And as you all know, we kind of have the quote-unquote next Dirk Nowitzki in Kristaps Porzingis. So I think that's our best option to test that out as Kyle O'Quinn makes a pretty nasty dunk. Now, I'm not going to be delusional and say, this playbook's going to bring us to the playoffs immediately. We just traded away our superstar of pretty much 8 years. We don't need to be playoff contenders right off the bat. I don't expect us to be playoff contenders probably until we gain some more experienced guys. Right now, it's a rebuilding year. It's a processing year. We're going to see what we got. I expect us to be maybe top 5 in the lottery. Defense, however, is another story. If any of you watch real basketball, closely, and you watch Norman Powell on the Toronto Raptors, you know that he's, besides from being a defender, a great defender, he's a very great energy guy, very tough, very physical. Same thing with Porzingis. He's very skinny, very tall, but not afraid to go in there and take a bunch of elbows. You know what I mean? So I want to kind of bring back that 1990s Knicks style of basketball where they're not afraid to go in, play some tough physical defense. That's why I went out and signed guys like Allen Williams, a great scrapper, Kyle O'Quinn, very tough, can block shots, great rim protectors. We want guys who can be gritty and very, very effective on defense. But going back to this Carmelo Anthony trade, we acquired the Raptors' 2018 and 2019 first-round picks. Kyle Lowry and Carmelo Anthony are out there on the same team. They're in their last years on their contracts. So secretly, I'm hoping that both of them skip town and the Toronto Raptors are kind of screwed for the next few years without any real, experienced talent on their team, to give us lottery picks, free lottery picks for the next 2 years, kind of like a Boston Celtics, Brooklyn Nets kind of deal, as ridiculous as that sounds. But, that's the kind of tactic I was going for, along with acquiring Norman Powell. If that wasn't available, I wouldn't have traded Carmelo to the Raptors. I would have traded him to another team like Phoenix, where I would have gotten a nice small forward like TJ Warren. But that opportunity, presented itself, and I just couldn't pass it down. Now, I'm not saying Norman Powell is garbage or anything. I'm just saying position-wise, I would have rather taken a small forward for Carmelo Anthony in return than a shooting guard. But I think Norman Powell's a great young player, two-way guy, can really stretch the floor, someone who can even run our offense at times. So when I was playing this game, I didn't realize that it was 6-minute quarters until like the third quarter. So I don't want you guys to think that, he's only going to play 6-minute quarters, like the stats are going to be so low. No, we're going to play 10-minute quarters from here on out. I just never changed it from when I first started this MyGM. So in our first game of the season, our home opener against Cleveland, we lose, even though we kind of sparked a little bit of a comeback towards the end. But no big deal, Cleveland's a good team. I kind of expected it, even though I wanted us to fight. Now that all the major transactions are finally done, we can finally relax and let the team kind of flow through Porzingis as he continues to grow. So basically now we're finally on the rails and we're on the right track. Thanks, guys.